give me top 3 ways of becoming a better storyteller.
So let's talk about storytelling in terms of content and storytelling in terms of delivery. Correct? So content is basically like the idea that you have. Now, idea is most definitely important, but if you have a really good idea, correct, but the way you execute it is poor, then no matter how good of an idea you have, you will not be able to send the right message.
It's a vice versa, right? It's the same thing. If you have a really good execution but not a good idea, you will still flop.
But let me ask you, if you have a really good idea, but poor execution, but you have a really bad idea, but excellent execution, which one of them is more likely to succeed?
Yeah, the later one.
The later one, the one that has better execution and a mediocre idea. Correct? So similarly, content is really important, but even more important than that is delivery. Why? Because if you master delivery, you know when you're supposed to take a pause. You know when you're supposed to speed up. You know when you're supposed to slow down. On what specific instance of the story? When do you want to create that emotional?
It becomes a rhythm, it becomes a dance, it becomes a music.
Exactly. Right? So that is what delivery does. I could narrate a story, but if I were to say that same story in a monotone, you'll be like, bhai,
Neend aa rahi hai.
neend aa rahi hai. Right? But when I incorporate delivery, masterful delivery, that is when that story comes alive.
That is true.
Correct? So for example, in terms of storytelling, find a really good challenge. Right? What is that challenge that helped you evolve the most? Generally, if I were to ask you, what is that one thing that helped you grow the most? What would that be, Ashmit?
Taking up challenges.
Taking up challenges.
Taking up responsibilities, and most importantly, responsibilities that I really don't have to take, but I'm taking myself. So incurred responsibilities is what I would say. Taking up challenges for myself because I want to do something out of my life. Yeah.
Now, what you're telling me is that you're giving me a very general statement. I want you to be very specific that, okay, this one thing helped me grow the most. For example, if I were to tell you a little bit about my biggest challenge that I overcome that helped me grow the most, generally for me, it has been, let's say, whenever I have been rejected in terms of either, let's say, by women or by opportunities that I was trying to pursue. For example, let's say if I'm pursuing a job interview mein gaya, and for whatever reason they did not take me. That was something that compelled me that, dude, how did they not take me? Right? If there's someone that rejected me, I will be like, man, after working so hard, because I have a habit of working really hard no matter what it is. Right? After working this hard, I was not chosen. Why? So I'll go in a loop of working even harder. Right? So these are the things that have helped me grow the most. For example, my first time that I was really in love with someone and then she broke my heart. That was one instance that helped me grow the most. After that, second one, third one. So these are some instances that helped me grow.
So turning points, if you say, I got rejected by a girl, this girl that I really liked in 9th class, was fairly young. So that was one of the turning points that I got into fashion, I got into grooming.
Same. I relate to
okay, I don't have a beard now. How do I work? So I am lean as fuck. I need to work on my grooming. I don't have a good fashion sense. I need to do something out of my life. So I started going out, working out. I started dancing because I thought dance would attract more girls. So that's how dancing started out. And then grooming. So I was watching a lot of teaching men's fashion.
Oh, God, Jose
yeah, Jose
Zuniga.
Zuniga.
I love him, yeah.
So then I was watching Alex Costa. These were few people that I was watching internationally because India Alpha M. That guy, small guy, but still very masculine. So I started watching these people and I was like, Acha, I can pick up this. I can pick up from yahan se I can pick up things. Okay, he's talking about making building body. This is how you become. Take responsibility, take ownership. Okay, that was one of the turning points. And then the second was shifting hair. Starting the business was the second one, and third is shifting hair. Like we shifted 7 months back and trying to do shit.
Okay.
Usse pehle starting this business out. I have tried, as you said, you have tried YouTube. I have tried YouTube. I have tried dancing. But we did really well in dancing. We represented Bihar and all that shit.
Wonderful.
So that happened. But then I thought that dancing cannot earn me a lot of money. That's a completely different story. So then got into business, that got into YouTube, now creating content and things like that. So these are few of the turning points in my life. Yeah.
Perfect. So if you observe, whichever turning point helped you evolve the most, pick that. One turning point specific. Okay. Right? And that is your challenge. That is the core challenge that you will be talking about. Now, once you have the challenge, then you need to decide upon a hook, an F15. Correct? And there are different types of hooks that you can use. One of them is, let's say, a big fat claim. A big fat claim is something that you are telling the audience that after you hear this story, this big thing is going to happen. For example, if I were to explain to you elaborately, after you hear this story, it's going to completely change your perspective about love.
So, end result.
Yeah, something like that. Basically, what are you going to get? And it should be big, right? It shouldn't be something small, right? After this story, you'll be able to understand how you can earn 1,000 rupees. Not worth it, very small, right? But after this story, you will understand the mindset of people that make billions. Okay. Big fat claim, correct? When you have this claim that is big, fat, people want to know, okay, how did this happen? Right? That is one thing. Another thing you can do is that you can quote someone. So what a quote does is that it helps you appear more intellectual. And your whatever conversation you are having, whatever speech you are giving, it has more gravitas now. It has more credibility because you have quoted someone. Right? So people know that, okay, this person is someone that reads.
I call it bought credibility. So if you read somebody and you're quoting him, because, okay, this guy knows shit because he's quoting that guy.
Yeah, you're standing on the shoulders of giants. Right? So if I quote Tony Robbins, then it's not me saying it. It's Tony Robbins saying it, and you want to listen because it's not just some person that you know right now.
Works really well on videos and reels as well. Yeah.
Right? So quotes work really well. Another thing in terms of, let's say, public speaking is question. Right? Whenever you go in front of the audience and you immediately ask a question, you instantly engage the audience if you're expecting the answer. Because let's say if I'm the only one that's speaking, then sure, I am speaking, but audience ke beech mein kuch nahi ho raha hai. But as soon as you ask a question and someone from the audience responds, then if someone is not listening also, they'll also pay more attention. Then they'll come back to you once again.
Engaging the audience, yeah.
Right? So you'll engage the
audience.
Teachers
used to do it. Ki, I'll be asking the question. So backbenchers was to like, acha, ab serious hona hai.
Correct. So I love asking questions because what it also does is that it puts you in power. When you are the one, so in a conversation, the power dynamics is whoever is asking the question is in power.
Yeah, that's true. We have learned this in sales a lot. Ki you, the one who speaks less, wins the conversation. Absolutely. Is the dominator of the conversation. Yeah.
Correct. So for example, in the beginning as well. Right now, you were asking me a lot of questions, right? So in that way, in that moment, you had a lot of power, right? Because you are the one that's asking the questions. You are the one that's deciding the direction of the conversation, right? But as soon as the person starts speaking, right? Then what happens is that, okay, now you're the one listening and now they are answerable to you. So in a way, you're here and, right? I'm just answerable to you. So you're my boss. So that is why I love using questions a lot, because then it just gives me that authority instantly.
One of the things that I do is when I'm doing sales mostly is ki when somebody says ki, hey, this is not the right time to talk, give me a call around 7. So the thing is ki, no, I'll not say as a salesperson, which basically do is ki, yeah, I'll call you at 7. I would say ki, okay, then let me call you at 8:30 because I'll be free at that time. So that is you deciding for yourself.
Yeah.
Ki, I'll not call you at the time that you're suggesting me. I'll be calling you at 8:30, which is my line of timing. Yeah. And they're like, okay, it works really well for me. And that puts you in the same level of what they are at. Yeah.
100%. Right. So that is something that you can do in order to just grab the audience's attention and have that power. Correct. So big fat claim, asking a question and quoting someone. These are 3 wonderful ways to use the F15. There are more. There are many more, but these are the three primary ones that I would recommend. Correct? So once you understand the F15, then you go towards the challenge. The next thing you can do is understand how can you overcome that challenge. Right? And when you are talking about the overcoming, talk about the details that are most emotionally fulfilling, that have that sense of, if the overcoming is just, okay, I just overcame it like that only, then it's not fun. When you are overcoming, you need to mention the details that have emotion in them. What did you do? For example, I remember back in college, I really used to like someone. And the thing that I did to overcome, I was really upset. Correct? So I was wasting my life away. I was crying myself to sleep. I stopped going to, college classes. I bunked a lot of the sessions. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I need to stop. And there was this non-profit organization that I was a part of called Make a Difference. And when I used to go there and teach children, that was one of the most fulfilling feelings I got. Because when I used to go there, and I was someone that had a really good style back then. I had a beard, I had a piercing, and back in the day, I used to smoke as well. Now I don't smoke. It's been a while that I've quit smoking, but I used to smoke and all of that. So I was, that guy that just appears really cool. Correct? They did not know I smoked, because obviously I don't want to show that to them, but they used to admire me, and that admiration is something that really drove me. And that pushed me to work harder and become a better version of myself in front of them as well. Correct? So that was one thing that helped me become better. I taught them better. I improved my own academics as well, so that they know I am someone that is good at academics, so that they improve their academics. Right? So these are some ways in which I worked upon myself. Right? After that, I got a really good job as well. I was consistently into public speaking and all of that. So now that I mentioned all of this, I talked about someone admired me. That has emotion. I talked about me going to a non-profit organization and helping children. That gives you a sense of fulfillment, and you know that, okay, I'm a kind person that likes to help people. So details like these build emotional connection, and these resonate with the audience. So this was the part of the overcoming. Right? F15 challenge, overcoming, and then a big message. What is the message that you want to send? Correct? So for example, if I were to talk about the breakup story, then the message I want to send is that that heartbreak was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Right? If that would not have happened, I would have been that same guy that used to smoke, was not that serious about academics, was just satisfied with who he is. I would not have tried to become better. I would not have tried to chase greatness at all. Correct? Because that happened, I worked upon myself. Because they, wanted me, those children wanted me to be their idol. I started acting like their idol. I became that idol eventually, gradually, after I started acting like that idol. And then once I started acting better, I started attracting better. I started attracting better opportunities, better people, a better life. Right? So heartbreaks are not a bad thing. They are probably one of the best things that could have happened to you. Correct? So that was, let's say, the message that heartbreaks are not bad. Correct? And the L15, if I were to conclude this story, I would end it with a bang. For example, in this case, this is the same story, by the way, that I used to win that event. Right? The L15 would be, in order to attract better, you need to act better. Right? So I ended it on this note. Right? So the L15, which is the last segment of the story, you need to end it on a bang. You cannot end it on a low, because if you end it on a bang, on a high note, then the audience yearns for more. If you end it on a low, then you've ruined the entire tempo. Correct? So obviously, the hook is the most important thing in terms of grabbing the audience's attention, but the challenge is the most important thing in terms of creating that connection with that audience. And then everything else follows. And then the L15 is crucial for you in order to end it on a really good note, so that they want more of you. Right? So these are some of the things that I would like to share with you related to storytelling.